Do you enjoy playing horror video games, like Outlast or Silent Hill? Imagine if the horror games you played would suddenly become real, and you had to navigate a crazy asylum, or a town filled with monsters. Today, we will take a look at a movie in 2006 called Stay Alive. This movie revolves around a group of friends, who stumbled upon a mysterious horror game, after one of their friends mysteriously dies. If you died in this game, in real life you would die too. Let's begin. The movie begins with a video game footage of Stay Alive, inside a creepy building that is played by a man called Loomis. Loomis seems to be weirded out by the game, due to the game creepy setting. While navigating the creepy haunted mansion, suddenly, it is filled with creepy ghosts, and he was chased by them. He tries to escape, but the door suddenly closes by itself and forces him to look for another way. All of a sudden, a ghost woman in red appeared out of nowhere, pushed his video game avatar, and promptly dies by hanging, thereby ending the game. After playing the game, Loomis decided to go to sleep after calling his friend to talk about the game, but is awoken by having nightmares vision of the game. He went downstairs to grab a drink in his kitchen, but someone is watching him in the house. A shadowy figure appears. Loomis went into panic mode and went upstairs. He tried reaching his friends in another room, but his friends, Rex and Sarah, who also played the game earlier, is brutally murdered. Not long after, he got pushed from upstairs and dies, by hanging, just like his video game avatar. The next morning in the city, a man named Hutch got called to his boss's office to discuss about video games. They were discussing about how to kill the final boss in a video game. They are both seen as avid gamers. Moments later, Hutch got a call saying that his friend, Loomis, had died. Hutch is saddened by the passing of his friend. He went to attend the funeral to pay respect to Loomis's family, and meet Abigail, a friend of Sarah. She tells Hutch that Sarah also dies together with Loomis. Hutch is suddenly approached by Emma, Loomis's sister, and had hand him Loomis's old bag. Emma said that the bag contained a video game, of which Emma's parents won't let her play, because her parents thinks it is too violent. So, she had to give him to Hutch, seeing as Loomis would want him to have it, because they are good friends since childhood. Later, Hutch went to the bar to meet his girlfriend, October, and her brother, Phineas, to mourn the loss of his deceased friend. They went on to inspect Loomis's bag. Inside the bag contains a childhood picture of the two pair during when they were children, and a video game called Stay Alive. The game that Loomis last played the night he died. According to Hutch, the game haven't been released yet, and Loomis had been beta testing the game for a company. Phineas insisted to play the game, in which Hutch said it was kinda weird, since Loomis had just died. But he insisted. At his home, Swink, the nerd, another of Hutch's friend, came to join them for a game party of Stay Alive. Hutch had asked Abigail to join them, and introduces her to the rest of the gang. They are also joined by Hutch's boss, Miller, playing from his office. After setting up the console, the game finally starts with an opening of a prayer, of which they cannot skip by pressing any button. Abigail suggested that the prayer probably needs to be read first. To which the group agreed. They noticed that, while reading, the prayer's word would disappear after each word they said. After reciting the prayer, the voice in the game narrates, they spoke the words, made a grave mistake, and they have been marked for death. The game continues to narrates that the game is about a woman named Countess Elizabeth Bathory, who opened a school for young people called Gerouge. The Countess is an evil woman that tortures the girls who went into the school, and evil had taken over the place. To win the game, the players must uncover the truth about Gerouge by staying alive. In the beginning of the game, a ghost child appeared, and Hutch kills it. After dying, the ghost drop a rose, to which the game says, the rose will help the players escape if they encounters a ghost they can't face. They went on to play the game further, and everyone seems to be enjoying it. Shortly, they encounter a room that has the portrait of the Countess and a prayer book. Elsewhere, Miller is exploring the tunnels all alone. He had stumbled upon a torture chambers, presumably used by the Countess herself. Shortly after, he sensed that something is approaching due to his vibrating controller. But he says, he is all out of roses for protecting against ghosts. All of a sudden, a woman dressed in red stabs Miller avatar. The game is over for Miller. In the real life, Miller started to seeing something in his dark office. Miller tells the gang about him seeing something. the gang calls it a night and takes a break, since Swink suggested Miller might be having seizures from playing too much video game. Miller tries to investigate his office in the dark, but he saw that someone is running in his office. He ignores this and tries to grab the controller to play the game again, but a woman appeared suddenly and had attacked him. Next morning, Hutch went to work as usual, only to find out that the police is in the building, investigating the murder of Miller. Hutch got questioned by the detective, Thibodeau, and his assistant, King, about Miller's sudden death. The detective eventually gave him his card if anything pops up about the murder. Meanwhile, Phineas tries to load the game again, only to discover that Miller avatar dies the same way as him, in real life, by stabbing. Phineas again insisted that he play the game, without caring for Miller's death, in which Hutch disapproves. He continues to play the game, while the gang chatted outside about the death of Miller. Hutch then got disturbed by fire from October lighter, due to his childhood trauma. Hutch suggested to the gang that their death, Loomis and Miller, is somehow strangely connected to the game, and the gang realizing this, had rushed to check on Phineas. But Phineas is still alive because the game was paused, right before his avatar about to be trampled by a horse carriage. He stopped, and continues to go fixing his car. While the rest of the gang experienced weird vision similar to that in the game. Meanwhile, Hutch went to investigate Loomis's and Miller's death autopsy on the internet. He discovers that the killing is indeed similar to how their avatars died in the game, based on the autopsies. Hutch again gathers and tells the gang that they all died the same way as their avatars in the game. Except Phineas, who is not there on other errands. October explained that the game is an exact story replica of the killer, Elizabeth Bathory, and she is out once again to kill people. Elsewhere, Phineas is riding his car, only to be stopped by a vision of a ghost in a carriage. He stopped the car in the middle of the road and is called by the gang. They said that Phineas did not die in the game. But, shortly after that, they were too late, as a horse carriage appeared out of nowhere, trampling him to his death. The police arrived, and Hutch explains to the detective about the game killing people, in which he dismisses it as a dumb theory. His assistant, King, also dismissed this as the game is ridiculous, and mocked it by playing the game, but is stopped by Hutch, in the middle of his avatar being tortured. Meanwhile, October expressed her sadness to his brother's death, seeing he is only the family she had. She is now determined to stop this and strictly said to Hutch, to find out about what he can about the video game. And to under any circumstances to not play the game again. While she and Swink took care of Phineas' funeral. Elsewhere, King went to a video game store, to investigate on the information of the game. But is fruitless in his effort, since the game is not released yet. He went on to his car, only to find a woman at the back, and get murdered. Determined to find answers, Hutch and Abigail breaks into Loomer's house, to investigate the origins of the game. Before entering, he reveals to Abigail, the reason he afraid of fire is because his house got burned down by his father, because he had suspicion of his wife cheating on him. His mom was asleep in the bed and dies due to asphyxiation. They continues to search Loomer's room only to find a phone that contains the address and details of the Stay Alive gaming company, which is located in New Orleans. They went on to the address guided by Swink on the phone. While October found a book called Malleus Demonium, meaning the witch's hammer. She tells the gang that it is a handbook for witch hunters during the Inquisition period. She says that if they find the Countess, they need to put 3 nails through her heart, neck, and forehead, to put her spirit back into her human body. After that, her body needs to be cleansed by burning its blood. Only then the ghost will be stopped. On the news, they found out that Detective King got murdered. This forces the police to show up to arrest October and Swink. But, they both had escaped by going through the windows. They regrouped back at the house to find out that the game had turns on automatically, and the game had played by itself. Sensing that they are in danger, they went on to search for October, since she is out smoking. But, instead she went on to look for a nail gun. Then, the Countess appeared and she is dragged by her. She was hanged upside down and got slashed before the gang could reach her. With only the 3 of them left alive, they finally head to the place where the game is made, to find the Countess' body to finish this once and for all. While Swink starts playing in the virtual world, in order to minimize the risks of them dying. October and Hutch went inside to find that the interiors of the building is similar to that in the game. Hutch were guided by Swink to navigate the building. while Abigail explored another room. Hutch stumbled upon the Jerush plantation backyard filled with mausoleum and a tower at the center, just like in the game. Meanwhile, Abigail found a hidden room by going through a door inside a wardrobe. The room that she found was filled with the drawings and clippings of the Countess. She also found her diary, that contains the name of the girls that had been murdered. Suddenly the lights went off. As Hutch desperately ran to save her, guided by Swink, Abigail got tied up, in real life. In the game, Swink tossed a bunch of roses to dispel the ghosts, thereby saving her. The ghost, realizing this, tried to lock up the door of the van, stopping Swink from playing the game, but is unsuccessful. Then, he immediately runs off because there is a carriage coming. He got chased and falls down. But they found out that his game avatar is killed in the game. The carriage went to pursue them next. But, as the carriage approached, Hutch used the rose they plucked earlier, to dispel them. They went further inside to search for the body, while chased by various ghosts from the game. Finally, they had reached the tower, but they are separated, when the door suddenly closes between them. Abigail, being desperate, tells Hutch that he needs to finish this game and escapes, to save himself at the cost of leaving her. He gave Abigail a one rose, as a last resort, and leaves. Hutch manages to find the dead Countess body inside the tower. As Abigail plucks the rose one by one, the lights goes off, and the Countess appeared. She now tries to kill her. While Hutch had finished nailing body, the Countess disappeared. But her real body wakes up, as her soul is now back in it and is now determined to kill Hutch. With Hutch remembering about how the Countess can't stand to look in the mirror, due to hating seeing herself grow old. He picked up the gaming laptop shiny casing to stun her. He then proceeded to grab the lighter and burn the Countess, while conquering his childhood fear of fire. Finally, the Countess is banished. As the Countess burned, Abigail and Swink barged in to escape together with Hutch. It is implied that Swink only dies in the game, since in real life he had fallen in a bed of roses. They finally managed to complete the game and had escaped in real life. They were seen leaving Jerush safely together. In the final scene, the game store employee earlier is seen unboxing a newly arrived game of Stay Alive. The game was already to be sold, and the prayer chant in the game is heard in the store, implying that the game is about to be played by someone else and many more people who had bought it. The movie then ends. That is it for this video. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Thank you. And goodbye.